All right, you're going to want to buckle up for this one. Today, we're breaking down a story that's like a total masterclass in internet romance tropes. I mean, we're talking about a woman whose entire life, her very existence, depends on seducing the most impossible man you can imagine. It is a wild, wild ride from start to finish.
And that one line right there, yep, that's the entire story in a nutshell. It's our main character's reaction the moment she realizes her life has been completely hijacked and her only escape route is, well, it's through the heart of a man who would probably much rather she just, disappeared.
So, let's set the stage. Our hero, Zhang Yulu, wakes up one day and boom, she's been yanked into the world of a romance novel. But let me tell you, this is no fantasy vacation. Oh no, this is a high-stakes mission with a very, very real clock ticking down.
Now, for anyone who's not familiar with this genre, this whole situation puts her smack dab in the middle of a classic transmigration novel. What does that mean? Well, it means she's not just reading the story anymore. She is living it. She's literally trapped inside the body of one of the characters, and she's got to play by the book's rules if she wants to survive.
So what are these rules, you ask? Well, the mission sounds kind of simple on paper, but it's actually completely impossible. First, she's got to charm the super cold, super violent CEO. Then, she has to somehow cure his untreatable disorder. Only then, maybe, can she go back to her own world. And here's the real kicker. If she fails, or even just tries to bail, she and everyone she's ever loved will just, poof, vanish into thin air. No pressure, right?
Okay, so who is this impossible man she has to win over? Let's meet our target. We're not just talking about some difficult guy here. No. He is the perfect textbook specimen of a classic romance archetype, the cold CEO.
The cold CEO. I mean, you know the type. He's an icon of the genre. We're talking untouchable wealth, massive power, an emotional wall a mile high, and, of course, a secret, tragic backstory that explains why he's so guarded. Well, our guy, Hu Yunyan, he checks every single one of those boxes. Every single one.
And believe me, the deck is completely, totally stacked against her. Huinyan isn't just cold. He's described as a crazy headshot freak. Yikes. He has selective mutism, so he doesn't speak. He absolutely hates it when women touch him. And, just to make things even better, he is 100% convinced that she's just a shallow, scheming gold digger. So, yeah, good luck with that. So this forces her into this immediate and honestly hilarious pivot. See, the character she's taken over was notorious for shaking down her brother for money, like hundreds of millions. But now, to survive, Zhang Yulu has to pull a complete 180 and start claiming that money makes her allergic, like she's physically dizzy.
Which brings us to her brilliant strategy, which I can only describe as Operation Annoy Him into Loving Me. Seriously, she just starts throwing everything at the wall, hoping something, anything will stick. It's just this non-stop barrage of bizarre, totally contradictory attempts to get his attention.
First up, the direct approach. And when I say direct, I mean really direct. She literally corners him and announces that she just wants to sleep with him to complete the baby-making mission. As you can imagine, this leaves our famously silent CEO pretty much speechless and totally bewildered. So when that bold move doesn't exactly land, what's her next brilliant idea? Oh, just create an entire custom variety show just for him. Of course. It's this kind of chaotic, strategic whiplash that just defines her entire attempt to win him over.
And right in between all these crazy schemes, she just sprinkles in these moments of, well, almost fanatical ride-or-die devotion. One minute she's making propositions, the next she's declaring this undying loyalty that's borderline obsessive. It's all designed to keep him completely and permanently off balance.
But of course, what's a romance novel without some rivals showing up to stir the pot, right? Just when Zhang Yulu feels like she's making even a tiny bit of progress, bam! The classic antagonists show up to try and wreck her already impossible mission.
And here's our rogues gallery. First, we've got Zhu Mingyan, your classic scheming second lead. She tries to get our girl fired and even frames her for cheating. Then comes the real heavy hitter, Ling Qingya. She's the jealous first love who comes back from overseas with one goal in mind: claim her man and sabotage Zhang Yulu at every single turn.
Okay, so with all this drama, all this scheming, and just pure romantic chaos, we're hurtling toward the story's climax. And trust me, the way this high-stakes whole thing is going to get resolved is
Exactly as wonderfully absurd and tropey as you'd hope. So, let's recap. We've had life or death stakes, a fake allergy to money, rival sabotage. How on earth does a story this chaotic possibly end?
With a reality TV game show. Of course. Why not? The grand finale of her mission to get back home is going to be broadcast live, mixing her work life with, her fight for literal survival.
Okay, so the rules for this final game are pretty straightforward. She has to team up with Hu Yunyan. They have to win first place. If they win, it activates a teleport switch that will finally send her home. But, and this is a huge but, there's a devastating catch. Winning the game, completing her mission, and saving her own life means leaving him behind forever.
And this brings us to the grand finale, the part where the line between just surviving and having real, genuine feelings gets hopelessly and kind of beautifully blurred. This final game isn't just about winning anymore. It's for everything.
And this is where things get, wow, incredibly moving. Huo Yunyan actually reveals that he knows. He knows their world is fake, that she's on some kind of mission. He even compares himself to Truman from The Truman Show, saying that even if the world around them is fake, his feelings for her, they are absolutely real. And that just changes everything, doesn't it? Her entire goal from day one was to escape. But somewhere in all the chaos, all the absurdity, the target of her mission became the man she actually fell in love with. Suddenly, that escape button is also a heartbreak button. So, she makes her choice. And after a truly heart-wrenching time where he thinks she's gone forever, she finds a way back to him, back into the novel's world. The story ends with him finding her and saying these simple, perfect words, letting us know her mission is finally, truly complete, because his world has become her home.
And it all leaves you with this one really fascinating question to think about, right? In a world that's built entirely on fiction, surrounded by people who are basically just playing a part, can love become the one true, real thing?